Headaches and no sleep.
That is zero fun.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a gloomy day too with a headache. It's just
Yeah.
like, might as well just stay on the couch and do nothing, except for come to lecture. But besides that, nothing else.
I'm glad to
Relaxing.
see you there. I'll shut up now. Bye.
Oh, okay, that's what I need. There we go. Okay. I'm recording too, right? Yeah, I think so. Pretty sure. I'm doing like a million things. I'm trying to.
You are.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's why I can't see it, because it's on the other side. There you go. Put that up there. Now I can see it. All right. That. Cool. There we go. And I actually don't know where this GIF is from, but it has one of my favorite actors from SNL in it. Not really favorite, but he's like hilarious. So if anybody knows where this is from, please let me know.
Portlandia?
Come on.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know. That's off my, is it even on a streaming service?
Netflix. Watch it now.
All right.
Oh, Netflix. Ever heard of it, Kyle?
Netflix. I mean, I'm more of a Hulu person now because Netflix took off Family Guy because I'm a child at heart. That's always what I watch. So I'm a little tiffed at Netflix, but whatever. It's okay. We're not going to get into this right now. We're not going to get into it.
You do Netflix, bro?
Family Guy. That's a shame.
I love Family Guy. That is my secret obsession. I literally, or whatever you call it, I literally go to bed every night to Family Guy just because it's like that one thing I don't have to think of. It's just like background noise.
Yep, Family Guy is great.
It's where I get all my jokes from. All the credits go to there.
Do you know the one with Peter saying, "Have you heard the bird, bird, bird? The bird is the word."
Oh, I've heard
the one we do not speak of.
I heard that the other day. It cracked me up.
Oh, it's funny, right? Gosh, I love Seth MacFarlane. He's hilarious.
I mean,
all right.
First couple of times, yes, but.
Oh my gosh. All right. So real quick, sorry. Well, I guess I should go into my typical announcement here. Sorry, I'm a little flustered, mainly because today I woke up to no internet. Last night, went to bed watching Hulu, the greatest streaming service around, and then I wake up this morning and I can't even turn on my lights with the Google person, my Google Assistant. Everything literally is connected to Google in my house because I'm a nerd, and therefore nothing works in my house right now, including the internet right now. So what I'm talking through right now, my hotspot, and that's why I was having a little bit of connectivity issues in the beginning. You might also see me glitching out throughout this lecture. If I get discontinued again, like I did in the very beginning when I started up this Zoom, you might see a thing on announcements saying I'm going downstairs to my lobby because I have conference rooms down there and I'm going to sneak my way into that. But just want to give you all that transparency and the heads up. I have been on the phone with AT&T all day and they are coming out tomorrow. And I was like, that's not very convenient. But this is what we get today. This is what keeps life interesting during a pandemic, is constant struggle and technical difficulties. So this is what we get. So just giving you guys all the heads up now. So happy Monday. I guess this is probably, I should blame all my problems today on Monday. This is what we get. So today we're going to be going over relationships and object relational mapping. And as you know, this GIF is from Portlandia, found on Netflix. Found that out. So let's get to it. As always, we're going to start with announcements. First things first, graduation approaches. We are almost to the end of the line. It is around the corner. We're on lecture 16 or 17 right now. We only have like 20 lectures, so we're getting to that point. So that means tonight we should be focusing a lot on assignment 4, our last assignment here in LC 101, besides Studio 19. In addition, we have no studio tonight. We're going to be learning the first part of chapter 18. And then in the next lecture on Thursday, we're going to be learning the next part. So today is just getting ourselves familiar with some of these concepts. So no studio to go over, but that doesn't mean we don't have work to do. We can catch up on assignment 3 or any other past assignments and get ready for assignment 4 or get started, at least reading it, or catching up on any other concepts. So that's what tonight is all about. Other than that, I have no other announcements besides if anybody knows a better service provider, please let me know. All right, let's get started.
Spectrum.
I think I might, no, I have AT&T. Isn't AT&T and Spectrum the same thing? I don't know. All right, let's get started here by building in some persistence. We're going to start building a table in SQL. How do we do this? Can someone talk me through this? What do we start with to build to start building a table?
Create table.
Very good. Create and then table. And then if I wanted to create the owner table, because we were working with that last time, I would put owner table in here. I'll be nice here and I'll provide some of those properties we're going to be putting into the table. The owner ID, the owner name, city, and age. But my question to all of you is, how do we state that something is a unique identifier for a table? What do we use?
Primary key.
Very good. The primary key, that goes in front of the owner ID, the ID that we want to identify this table. My second question to all of us is, how do we use those keys to automatically generate for us? What do we say?
Auto increment.
Very good. Auto underscore increment. Very good. This is how we keep these keys incrementing automatically for us to keep everything unique. So that being said, once we press enter on this, it builds us a table. We see that key icon there in the top left for the owner ID because it's the primary key. So let's build our other favorite table. We're gonna start building that dog table. We use the primary key as the dog ID, the dog name, dog age, and owner ID there as well. But we see that the owner ID there relates to our owner table. So my next question is, how do we create that contract with another table? In this case, the owner table. What do we start with?
Foreign key.
Very good, the foreign key. This is going to start creating our contract with the owner table from the dog table. The next thing we have to do is say which of our columns in the dog table is going to be that foreign key. Who can tell me which column this is going to be to relate to it?
Owner ID.
Very good, the owner ID. Once we do this, we have to start setting up the contract or telling more information about the table we're going to connect to. What's that keyword that we're going to start with to do that?
References.
Very good, references. And then we actually have to reference the owner's table. We say it by owner's table, the name of the table, and then the column, owner ID. This here, again, sets up the contract with our owner table between the dog table by using that foreign key between the two. This is a very important concept and it will not go away anytime soon. If anything, we'll get a little bit more intricate as we move forward with ORM. Any questions about this? Awesome. So let's move on. Next thing is, how do we add data to a table? What are we going to start with by doing this? What keyword do we start with?
Insert into.
Insert into table.
Very good. Insert into our dog table for this one. And then because we're auto incrementing the keys, I'm going to put exactly what columns I want to put in the parentheses because I don't want to include dog ID anymore. That's being auto generated for me. I don't have to do that anymore. So I say dog name, dog age, dog owner. What's the next thing to actually include that information into the table? What's the keyword we use?
Values.
Very good, values. And then we include our values. In this case, it's Stark, 7, and Kyle. Once we press enter on this, we populate our table with 1, Kyle, St. Louis, and 27. For example's sake, and so we don't have to do this all over, I'm going to just include the other information there in the tables by using those inserts. The next thing is, how would I change Kyle's age from 27 to 28 because he's 1 year older? What do we use?
Update.
Very good. Update. And then write me this entire query to change
Table
that
name.
age. What's the table name? If we want to update Kyle's age,
Owner table.
Owner.
Owner table.
the owner table, and then keep going.
Set.
Very good.
Column name.
Owner age.
Age.
28.
Go to 28.
All right, keep going. We have a little bit more.
Where.
Very good. ID equals 1.
Owner ID.
Equals 1. Yeah.
Yep, or owner, you're right. Actually, this query has a typo. Yeah, it should say owner underscore ID equals 1. Very good. This right here will update our owner's age to 28. So that is how we update information in our table. Can anyone, this isn't actually going to be a question right now, but how would we add a column? What keyword would we start with for that one?
Alter.
Very good, alter. All right, sounds like we are still in this SQL mindset or SQL mindset. Let's keep going. Let's fetch some of these dogs. Bring back in that dog table. How would I get all the dogs that have an owner?
Select star.
Select.
Select
Star, I like that. From
table.
Owner table.
well, we're gonna be getting our dogs back. So from the dog table.
Dog table.
All right. So we see in our dog table, we have one that does have an owner, Waggy, and then one that doesn't have an owner, Odie. How would we differentiate the two? How would we only get back Waggy?
Where?
Add
Where
dog name to Waggy.
Where
Owner
dog
ID
ID
is
is
not
equals
null.
to. Where
So we
dog
could just say dog ID or dog name equals Waggy, but what if we had 8 different dogs in here? Some of them that did have owners and some of them that did not. We don't want to hard code this in there just to make this work. We want to make sure it works universally, so it works
Dog ID.
day after day.
Owner ID is
Where
not
owner ID
Is not null.
Where, yeah, exactly.
Owner ID
Where owner ID is not
is not
null.
null. Yep.
not null. Very good. Remember, when we check for nulls, we cannot just put the equal sign in there. We have to use is. And if we want to check if it's not null, we include that other keyword, not. Where owner ID is not null. That's how we check this. Awesome job. All right, so this would give us back our query here. We have just star coming back because we're only checking for things that don't have null in the owner ID column. 2 thumbs up. Let's keep going. Bringing back in our dogs here. We're gonna select from the dog name here, which is simple. We're just selecting our dog's name. Actually, that should be an asterisk for what I actually had after that. But anyway, dog, let's just pretend dog name is an asterisk, or you can pretend it's dog name, from dog table. But we're gonna get this a little bit more tricky. We're gonna imply an inner join here on the owner table, where the owner ID of the owner table and the dog table are equal. What would be our result?
Waggy.
It would select Waggy, very good. What else would be our result? What else would be included? Remember, owner ID of Waggy relates to Kyle. Inner join wants to join only the things that are equal, and that's it. It doesn't take anything else from the tables besides the things that are actually truly equal to each other, according to that conditional. So to answer this, it would select both Kyle in the owner table and Waggy in the dog table and combine that into our query results, producing an entire single row, not 2 rows, not 3 rows, but 1 single row with Stark and Kyle, that information joined in together. This is the inner join. Any questions on this one? If we went back.
Show that query again.
Say that again.
Well, it would show that second table if you had select star, but you have select dog name.
Right, sorry, pretend the dog name is actually an asterisk, just to show all that information there. I have a small typo in this one. So yes, technically it would only select Waggy. You're absolutely correct. So I actually do apologize. I said, yeah, whoever said Waggy to begin with, you are absolutely correct. But do pretend in this example it says star, just to show all the information. Does that kind of clarify there? Because I can change it real quick too if it's just easier that way. Okay. Oh, come on. Well, that was going to be easier just to do it real quick. Apparently not. There we go. There we go. Now it says star. So this right here would select only the things that we have, again, in common. So that would be that there. And bring that back, and my face is there, perfect. Okay. So we come over here, we have our stuff. Sorry, now I have to bring everything back. There we go. All right. So any questions about this inner join? Real quick, if we were to come back here and we brought back everything, what would happen if I said this was a left join? What would have happened?
Left join. You'd only get the dog info.
Right, the left table in this case would be the dog table. So what would happen exactly? Can you describe it to me?
What do you mean?
What would the query look like? What additional information would be added to this query result if we did a left join, having the dog table as the left table?
The rest of the dog.
Very good. We would also include Odie here on the left-hand side of this query result, but there would be no owner associated with it. So therefore would be nulls on the right-hand side for owner's name, owner city, owner age, and owner ID. That would be the left-hand join. The right-hand join would be exactly the same except for with the owner table, and it would be missing information in the dog side. Remember, these inners, lefts, and rights can be kind of confusing, so it's best to practice as much as possible, at least getting the best grasp we can on the concepts. So any questions surrounding this? All right. So this was all about our SQL. So let's keep moving on to a little bit more about relationships. All right. So quick question, how are these things related? We have 3 of our dogs, name them what you will, and then we have 2 individual owners over here. Now, one thing we know about dogs and we know about owners is that owners, a person, an individual can own multiple dogs. You can own 2 dogs. That's completely fine. There's nothing wrong against that. The other way around though, with dogs having 2 owners, this is not allowed, at least in our universe. It's not typical for a dog to have 2 different owners. Of course, yes, you can have like a family own like a pet or something like that, but we're going to count that family as just an individual person. In this case, when we're going through this exercise, dogs cannot have more than 1 owner. So this is not going to exist. So where am I exactly going with this? Let's look at this from this perspective. We have our owner that owns 3 dogs. The dog can only be owned by 1 owner. The owner can own many dogs. Together, this creates a one-to-many relationship. Again, dogs can only have 1 owner, so that's 1. And then the owner can have many dogs, which is many, creating a one-to-many relationship between the dog and the owner. So, taking what we just went through there, let's switch perspectives. We now have the owner and then the dogs. The owner can own 3 dogs, but the dog can only be owned by 1 owner. The owner can own many dogs. The dog can only be owned by 1 owner. In this perspective, we create a many-to-one relationship. That's how these 2 work, is based on perspective. One-to-many and many-to-one is determined by how you are looking at the problem. Any questions so far about this very tricky relationship type?
I'm not sure I really get the difference between the 2.
So, picture yourself as a dog owner. You have multiple dogs. You have a many-to-one relationship with those dogs. You have many dogs, and they have 1 owner. Now, flip it around, and now you're a dog. you're one dog that has many owners. So I'm one dog with one owner, but my owner can have many dogs. So that would be a many to one relationship. Or sorry, it would be one to many relationship. It's based on your perspective. And what do I mean by perspective is the class you are dealing with, and we'll see this in a future example, will be the perspective that you are in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, absolutely. I hope it did make sense because I'm going to confuse myself on this own topic. So and this one is a very tricky one, especially in ORM. So just remember, before you decide what the relationship is between something, understand your perspective, your context. Put yourself in your context shoes, your dog's shoes, your owner's shoes, whatever, to figure out this relationship. And again, we'll take more looks at these examples as we move forward. Let's look at one more thing. Let's go to our dogs here. And then we have a single bone. Now, if two dogs go for one bone, and any dog owner can tell me what they think about this, we typically will get a bit of a dog fight. So you typically don't want to have one bone to two dogs. This is not going to end well. You always want to have your 3 bones for 3 dogs. They want to relate to each other. You don't want to get any dog fights on your hands. Therefore, we have one dog, and that dog that's related to that bone that bone only has one dog. Dog has one bone, bone has one dog. Therefore, we have a one-to-one relationship here between the dog and the bone. This is a one-to-one relationship. Don't share your bones if you're a dog. That's basically it. Any questions on this one? This one's a little bit more fun because we actually get this one. Don't want to share, like, yeah, it's like me with cheesecake. Like, I'm a one-to-one relationship with cheesecake. I don't share cheesecake. All right, moving on to actually taking what we just learned here about these relationships and bringing them into reality. So if we have this, bringing this into an actual relationship, let's talk about how we actually build a dog class. Let's bring that back in. How would we begin by creating this dog class?
Public class dog.
Very good. We'll start with public class dog. Awesome. And then, sorry, my computer's being extremely laggy today. Everything is dealing with a Monday issue. All right, so once we do that, how do we go ahead and create or make this dog into something that Hibernate can use? What do we need to add?
At entity.
Very good. At entity, that annotation entity. This is going to create something that Hibernate can actually utilize. I'm going to bring in some of these properties here. And then what kind of constructor does a Hibernate entity, always need?
Blank constructor?
Very good. A blank constructor. Hibernate must always have a blank constructor in its entity or it will not work properly. Then you can just add whatever constructors you want after that, and you're also your appropriate getters and setters. Moving on, how do we set a primary key in an auto increment in this entity? How are we actually going to set that primary key in that auto increment?
ID and generated.
Very good. ID and then generated
Value.
Value.
Very good. Generated value. Awesome. These 2 annotations underneath at least one of our class properties. In this case, always the ID. Going over to IntelliJ, going up to our dog, let's go ahead and double check that we have this. So we have our entity, we have our ID and generated value. As you saw in the example, you can put these next to each other if you really want. This is completely okay syntax. Then we have our name, our age, etc., and moving on. So this is how our dog would actually look as an entity in reality. We saw this last class, but I do want to remind everybody this is what it's going to look like. Going back, I'm going to drag it over there. All right. What am I going to do here? Okay, so one more thing is that we're now going to bring in the owner class. Our dogs are going to have owners. As always, I want to be that dog owner, so we have to actually create something to capture that information. So we bring in that private owner class. Now, who can tell me and remind me, between an owner and a dog, what kind of relationship does it have?
One to many.
One to many.
Very good. It's going to have a one-to-many relationship. That dog is going to have one owner, but the owner can have many. Very good. Or, yeah, I'm not joshing here, right? Let me make sure. See, this is where it comes in. Like, did I mess it up already? Nope, all right, okay. Thank God. All right. I mean, of course I got it right? All right, so what we're gonna do is gonna bring that in here, and we're gonna come down here, and we're gonna create that private owner. Owner, there we go. And we're gonna say it's going to be a one-to-many relationship. There we go. We're getting a red here because we have not created the owner class. So this is how we're gonna set up our relationship, but let's go ahead and see how we're gonna create that owner class exactly. Moving on from this, we're gonna create that owner class by saying public class owner. We're gonna throw on the entity annotation once again, because we need it to be an entity. We're going to generate the value and present the ID. It's gonna have another ID. You're gonna have your owner's name, your owner's city. And then I'm gonna bring in that blank constructor. And then I'm gonna bring in all the other stuff that I need, which is the appropriate getters and setters and what other stuff I actually need there. So let's go ahead and create this owner. So we come in here to models, new, Java class, and then say owner. First things first, I'm gonna slap the entity tag on there. Not enabled, don't even know what that is. Entity, jeez. Perfect. And now we're gonna go ahead and start doing this. So I say private int ID, and then someone tell me the annotations I need to add here.
At ID.
Very good. And what's the other one?
At generated value.
Generated value.
Very good. Add generated value. Fantastic. We said we're going to create a name, so private string name. Let's say private string city. And then, all right, so then we're going to create the blank constructor. And then just for fun, we'll say owner. String, you don't have to do this, but why not? String, and then we're gonna say string city. Cool. Good with me. Name equals name. This dot city equals city. And then we come down here, we are going to right click, press generate, go to getters and setters. And I'm going to create a getter and setter for name and city, but not ID. And then I come in here, click generate once more, and I'm only gonna do a getter for ID. Because we don't want anybody having to reset our IDs after it's been created. That is not allowed. We do not like that at all. So there we go, we've created our owner class. Going back to dog class just briefly, we now see owner has turned from red to normal. So owner's being imported. So everything here is A-okay. Any questions about any of the steps we've gone through just yet? Anything at all? All right, let's keep going then. So we're back in this owner class. We know that owner is going to be related to dogs. Who can tell me what that relationship is going to be on this side, in this perspective?
One to many.
Our owner, what was it?
One to many. Because there's one owner and many dogs.
You got it backwards.
So
remember,
Many to one.
so the best way to do it is ask yourself in this context of the class, this is your left-hand side, is the class you're in, does the owner have one dog or many dogs?
well, the owner would have many, right?
Very good, it would have many dogs. Now, our other part of the perspective is looking at the class we're going to relate to, dogs. Would a dog have one or many owners?
One.
So your answer is what?
I don't know.
Okay, so here, let me get that pen out.
So we're looking at it from the perspective of the dog class rather than the owner class?
So this is your first perspective.
Right?
Wow.
That's
Okay, my computer's just really not working today. So the owner, the class you're in, is the first perspective, the first part of your annotation. Does the owner have one or many dogs?
many.
So the first part of your annotation would be many. Now we look at the part we're relating to, which is the dog. This is the second part of our perspective. Does the dog have one or many owners?
One.
One. This is
Many.
the second part. It'd be many to one. Very good. Jeez. I'm going to throw this computer through a wall right now. So it'd be a many to one relationship.
All right.
Does that help a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, making sure. Awesome. So we come back over here, and now we say many to one. So we go over to the owner class, and we come down here. We're going to say many to one. We're going to say array list dog. I'm going to say dogs. There we go. All right. So let me grab my notes here. We'll always pause for a second. Make sure I don't forget anything that I would like to mention to anybody. All right. Looks good so far. Okay. So this being said, let's go ahead and we're going to go over. Oh, I have the browser open. We're going to go over to MySQL Workbench. And what we're going to do now is we're going to drop this table. We're going to do this because this dog table, that was great when we were working with it last week. We just added a new property to it. We just added the owner to it. So in this case, what I'm going to do is drop the dog table because we're going to add that new column to it. So I don't want things to get crisscrossed. So we don't, again, this is not really production. So you can just drop it. Nothing's going to hurt us. Well, I say that with a grain of salt. You never know it's going to hurt you, especially on a Monday. All right, there we go. So going over to here, we're going to start running this and see what happens. We're going to see if we're going to have a good day or a bad day.
Question maybe?
Question maybe. Go for it maybe.
So when you're doing the many to one, is the list or array list necessary because you have the potential to have many, whereas on the other side, since you can only have one, a list isn't needed?
Say that one more time.
All right, so when we're doing the one to many and many to one, I noticed even through the reading that we do the list when you have many. Like, so you're at the perspective of being able to have many, you do the list, but when you're one to many and you don't do the list, are you following me?
Yes, yes, and that's typically an indicator of that you need that many to one if you do an array list because you're going to have a lot of you're going to have a collection of something. So give me 1 second here, and I got to figure out what exactly we're doing wrong. This is. What am I doing here? Make sure I'm not going crazy. Oh my gosh. I am going crazy. Okay, this is why you should check my file.
Do you need a mapped by?
What was that?
Do you need mapped by?
I
getting ahead of you.
Not by map by. I think I am. Let me see if I'm absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's reversed.
It is totally reversed, and I am going bonkers. This is, well, like I said, I get twisted all the time with this one. Ever since I only learned this through launch code, and so I get twisted every time with this part. It is a challenge just to get your mind wrapped around it. So let's see if this one will work. And if so, I have some apologies to hand out. All right, let's see. Realist collection. Oh, you're really gonna be that mean about it? Okay, well, let's see. There we go. Oh, let's figure this out for the class. And 4th time's a charm. Oh my gosh, I totally did have it backward. I was like, this is, this is it. Yeah, the owner is the perspective. So the owner can, I do have it.
Well, now I don't feel so bad for not getting it.
No, you're fine. You actually probably have it. You should be teaching this portion. Dang it. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, what in the heck? This is, like I said, I get it mixed up every time. And this is what happens when you're on the phone with AT&T all day instead of checking your work. Oh. Okay, so it looks like, and let's go back over to Hibernate and take a look here. So now that it actually creates, we're gonna refresh all here. And now we have our dog and our owner table and our owner's dog and owner table. We'll go through those tables in a second, what they actually mean. But what we do need to talk about is that I clearly, definitely am mixed up here. So let me make sure on my actual slides, this is what my craziness is. So that's the owner. Yeah, okay. I do have this backwards. All right. Okay, so it looks like what it is that from basically everything I just said, it has to be flipped. And this is literally my nightmare right now. It's like I knew I would have this backwards somehow. I didn't think it would all be backwards. So what it is that the perspective is that you're talking about the relationship with the other class. So the person you're relating here, the dog, has one owner, but what you're putting it in the perspective, the owner itself can have many dogs. So it's basically the perspectives I was talking about, you just have to flip them. So let's actually go through this exercise and talk about it a little bit more so I can try to at least overcome some of the things I've been telling you about. And that will be coming over here to the dog and remembering that dogs can only have one owner, but we're relating it to the owner itself. So that perspective, we're talking about the class we're going to relate to first as the first part. The owner can have many dogs. And then the second perspective is the class you're actually in. The dog itself can only have one owner. So again, the essence of the teaching was not too far off. The best thing I can say is that you have two perspectives to get this many to one relationship or one to many relationship correct. It's that when you're relating this portion of the class, this is your first perspective. So the owner can have many dogs. And then the second perspective is the class you're actually in, which again is the dog, one owner. So and I heard a question being asked.
No, I think you just said it. You said the owner is, the dog is the class that you're in. And that's the second part.
Yes, the class you are in is the second perspective.
Okay.
And the thing you're relating to is the first perspective. So I do apologize for that. I'm going to fix those slides as soon as possible. So yeah, that is that is the correct way now of doing that. And Alexi, I apologize. I saw you were taking notes beforehand, and I'm sorry for completely throwing you a boomerang there. Literally a boomerang.
I apologize too. I said some things also. I was with you, Kyle, so I apologize too.
No, you're fine. And yeah, that's the name of the game. So I will hopefully never get that wrong again. This has been a good learning moment for me as well. So any other questions here about this? Now that we actually have this nailed out. All right. So if no questions are about this one-to-many and many-to-one relationship, let's take a look at the tables that it created and just kind of go through that real quick. So when we actually built our server, Hibernate's going to come in here just like last time and build our tables. So we have our dog table and we have our owner table. That's completely fine. But now we have relationships between our dogs and our owners. So we have a third table being built in here, which is the owner dogs table. If we look at this, we see that we have two different columns in here. We see that we have the owner ID and the dog's ID. This is the relationship table. This is where we can actually see what dogs and what owners are being paired up to each other. That's what this table is going to be created for and utilized for. So, Alexa, you look like you have a question.
No, I just look like that.
Okay. Sorry, you're one of the 5 screens on my thing right now, and it's like, all right, you're the only feedback I get right now. So that is what this table here is for, is to relate the IDs together for that many-to-one or one-to-many relationship. So essentially, next class, not this one. This one is just getting us into getting our feet basically wet with this relationship stuff. We're not going to implement anything too crazy here tonight. That will be next week, but we'll see more exactly how this is actually utilized in next lecture. But I do want to introduce everyone to this. So it's where those relationships are built. If you ever have a question of how things are being related, come to this table. It will help you out. Other than that, we have our owner table here. Owner table is going to have all those columns we have, the ID, the city, and the name, and as well as the dog. The dog's going to have that ID, age, name, and owner ID. Owner ID being the foreign key. All right. So that being said, any other questions about the code? Any questions about the database? Any questions about the concepts that we covered so far? All right. That being the case, that was a lot there. So we're going to take a quick step back so we can all catch our breath, and we're going to do some doggone facts. First one first. It's often thought that dogs are colorblind, but they can actually see in 2 different colors. Anybody know the 2 colors that they can see in? Anybody got it? Blue is one of them, actually. And the other one is actually yellow. They can see in blue and yellow. Did not know that. Learned that today. Next one. I can't even pronounce this dog type, and I really wanted to look up a picture of it. But it's anybody know how to pronounce this dog type?
The Senji.
The Senji, okay. Does not technically barkless. Instead, does anyone have one? Anybody know what they do instead?
Whine.
Right?
They sing.
The yodel.
They yodel, very good. Or singing, I'll take singing too. So they actually yodel. All right.
Right.
What was that? Yeah, what does it sound like? Anybody know? Anybody can act it out?
You're late.
I hope it sounds like that. Oh my gosh. All right. When a dog kicks backwards after using the restroom, it's not to cover it up, but to what?
Fling it
It's finish.
What is it? I heard a lot of answers there. What was it?
He's finished.
No, it's not even.
They got to clean some glands on their paws, right?
It kind of is like that, actually. Yes, they actually do it to mark their territory. There's scent glands in the back of their feet that actually leave their marking around their doo-doo, I guess. I don't know. That's what that's for. I didn't know that. I was buried up.
They're finished.
It means they're finished. Yeah, exactly. It's like, go get my stuff. All right, like I mentioned before, this first part of the lecture was just to get our feet wet with relationships, just talking about that and really clarifying it for all of us. And today was a big reminder of all these relationships for me. So what we also need to talk about is one more thing. This is not part of point 1 to point 3, but I do want to again get us introduced to this last relationship just to start having us think about it before Thursday. And so we're going to take a look at 3 more dogs, and we're going to take a look at just, let's say, 3 different toys that a dog would enjoy. Whether that be a chew rope, a ball, or a squeaky teddy bear or something like that. Now, we know that a dog can like the rope, but the dog can also like, but another dog can also like that same rope. They can both play with that same rope. It's not a bone. They can both play on it. They can both tug of war, whatever. We also know that another dog can like all 3 toys. And those toys can belong to 3 other dogs. These relationships can get very, very crisscrossed. The ball can belong to 2 dogs. The dog can be playing with 2 different toys, whatever. These relationships consistently get more and more crisscrossed. So that means on this perspective, there are many dogs, or sorry, the dog can have many toys, and the toys can have many dogs. Therefore, we're creating that last bit of relationship called a many-to-many. This is where everything on the first perspective and the second perspective can be related to each other multiple times. That's hence this many-to-many relationship that we'll be looking at more closely along with the DTO, not to give too many spoiler alerts, in our next lecture. That being said, that is it for what we have today to get into our relationships and just getting started. So here I'll leave it open to any questions or anything else that anybody would like to talk about right now.
So do you know how to fix when you see nothing but nulls in your database? Or like, is that a TA question?
So if you just see nulls in the database, do you see any information at all?
No, you don't.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what I've done wrong.
So in that case, that means that nothing, it sounds like nothing's being inserted. So if you are doing it through the ORM, make sure that you are saving things to your actual repository. So if just like our past example, last class, the dog controller came down here to our saved dog.
I was just actually in my SQL workbench, and even though I can see the data in the table if I kind of click, you know, but it's when I try to do the, you know, joins and stuff, that it'll pull back the columns, but it won't put any information in.
So in that case, it sounds like the select or the join you're trying to do is not pulling back any results. So I double check the conditional and see exactly what's going on there. That would be a more specific question. So if you want to reach out to me or reach out to your TAs first, we can definitely talk about that more specifically.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Any other questions?
I'll have one.
What's up, Curtis?
In following along with the text today, I don't believe I had that table of IDs to IDs get created. Is that because we only did a one-sided many-to-one relationship instead of on both sides like you did? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I believe so, because if you do a many-to-one on one side, it can just go by the ID column in that regard. So I'm thinking because I did a many-to-one, it had to create that table. But I don't know that for sure. I would have to experiment a little bit with that. But that would be, again, we talked about this earlier, but that would be my hypothesis, is that we do a many-to-one, hence having to create that table.
Cool, thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions?
Did they tell you why your internet went out?
Yes, because my apartment complex decided I didn't need it anymore. It's like, okay, thank you. They were switching services and they didn't think that 1 day lapse would be a huge issue. And I'm like, well, working from home, and I only work on the computer literally 12 hours a day. So
Same thing happened to me, and it freaked me out. I actually want to get a phone with a hotspot now because it really threw me for a loop.
But now you can build your building.
right, exactly what I'm about to. It's like, what the heck? It's just so weird because I went to bed with internet and I woke up and was like, oh, I had to just reset the router or something like that.
Yeah,
And
same thing.
it's like all gone. So yeah, not the best Monday I've been having in a while, but it's all right. I'm here, I'm happy, and I have a fun class to teach. So this has been great. This has been getting my mind off of everything else that's burning. So all good.
So you have a plan that
Kyle, you know, I really like your personality, man. I really do.
Oh, all right, guys. It has been a fun day today. All right, so that is all I have. Again, next class, definitely look forward to more fun stuff there. There we go. Oh, come on. I did not just do that.
When are you gonna get a dog, Kyle?
There we go. Oh, there we go. Thank you. It's like I lost you guys for a second. I don't know. I need to get it soon. I need to get it very, very soon. I love it, just a comfort buddy right there. Now, whenever the internet goes out, because I can't even watch TV in my house because I'm a cable cutter. So
my neighbor has a husky he's got to get rid of.
I do want a husky. That's honestly my dream dog.
It never barks.
Really?
Yeah.
If you're a cable cutter, you should switch to Spectrum. The only reason to use AT&T is if you like watching TV.
I wish I had a choice. The apartment complex is like, you go with this person because this is all we have. It's like, okay, thank you. I can't wait to move out. No, you're absolutely right. All right, everybody. What was that?
Move away from where all the ambulances come out.
That's so true. Yes, definitely not a firefighter facing apartment next time. I'm gonna do a little bit more reconnaissance before that. Oh, all right. Well, I'm gonna give you all plenty of time here tonight to again get started with assignment 4, get caught up on any of those concepts, get caught up on any of the past assignments. So tonight was a very, very light lecture. So hopefully everyone enjoyed just taking a deep breath there. I didn't hopefully make anybody learn too much, even though I learned a lot. I have a headache now. But all right. So thank you everybody for joining. Have a great week. Have a great start to your week. Hopefully it gets sunnier here. Keep working on all those assignments. Everyone's doing awesome. Keep up the great work. And I will see everybody back here this Thursday for another fun lecture.
Do we still go to our small groups then, or just...
I believe tonight you'll still be going to your small groups.
Okay.
If there's a T on the line, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe so. Let me triple check here.
See, I was hoping you had that magic information, Kyle.
I believe so, but I can check the schedule here.
Don't we always need to for roll call?
Yeah, I think you would have to at least go to your small groups for a bit.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm thinking with this much of a prompt, if Greg was back from his liftoff thing, he would have weighed in by now. So.
John, we'll just be in your room. Yeah.
Yep, everyone go see their small groups. Again, yep, thanks for joining. And then, yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to Slack me. Other than that, have a fantastic week, everybody.
Bye.
Kyle, thank you.
Kyle. All right, Kyle. Thanks a lot, buddy.